Look at all these delicious hamburgers. There are so many different types of hamburgers in America today that it would take years to try every single one. There's anywhere from a heart attack burger, which basically has everything on it, to a simple McDonald's hamburger. But have you ever thought about where that delicious burger comes from? How did it get to America? Food is a big part of culture and tradition. Looking into family recipes, I found one in particular that holds a certain importance in the culture of my ancestors from Germany. It's called the Krautburger, and this is what it looks like. The word itself is a German word. Now, this word in English is translated to cabbage burger. At first, it may not seem appetizing, but wait till I tell you what's inside of it. A recipe for the Krautburger that has carried hundreds of years worth of tradition, meaning, and delicious taste has been passed down to me through generation and generation. A lot of people don't think much about where their food is from or what's the meaning behind it. We are always rushing to get down to the next meal so we can get back to other things. But it's important to understand the food you are eating and where it comes from. Now, I don't mean ingredients. I mean tradition and culture. So to start out, I am part German. My closest relative that I knew was my great-great-grandma Marie. This is her and her husband. My middle name, Marie, comes directly from her. She was my mom's great-grandma. Now, she was known as a Volga German. Now, let me explain how this name came about. My ancestors originally lived in Berlin, Germany. Unfortunately, in the early 1800s, they were forced out of their land due to loss of freedom. They had to move to Russia and live along the Volga River, hence the name Volga Germans. Then they migrated to the United States of America on a ship called the Red Star Line in the late 1800s, early 1900s. When they got to the United States of America, they got spread out across the West. Now, my great-great-grandparents settled in Colorado. They worked on a sugar beet plant and factories, raising all the money they could just to survive. Now, even though they were away from their homeland, they still brought their precious traditions and kept the culture alive. Now, I live in a city called Loveland, Colorado. Just a couple blocks down from my house is the remaining sugar beet factory. This is what one of the sugar beet factories look like. Though it is not in commission anymore, you could take tours inside and see what it looks like. Loveland's Great Western Sugar Plant, this is exactly what it looks like, used to be one of the biggest in Colorado that had hundreds of Volga Germans work for them. I just found it so cool that I live in a place where they first settled. Also, whenever you go into the grocery store, you could still find that GW, Great Western Sugar. It is a package that looks exactly like this. And though they don't make it from any of the original factories anymore, they're still in business. And I think that's very cool. So back to the tasty Krautburger. Now, this has many names, but in my family, we call it Grappadok. It is a doughy pastry with cooked cabbage and hamburger and sometimes cheese. They're stackable, and lunchbox perfect. This is what they used to carry them in. The Krautburger is made of fresh steamed cabbage mixed with ground beef, onions, and spices, wrapped in a warm, papery sandwich. And it's perfect for the lunchbox. The Volga Germans could easily take these lunchboxes into the plant and work while eating, without making a mess due to the pocket holding inside. It is even served now at restaurants such as Runza. Now, this restaurant mainly is in Colorado, but there are a few in Nebraska. Whenever my mom makes these delicious sandwiches, my whole family comes to the table and eats together. We talk about our day and we enjoy each other's company, and the burger, of course. Though this recipe has been rewritten on new paper, the recipe itself is still the exact same back in the 1800s. All that is needed is some water, yeast, sugar, salt, oil, flour, cabbage, hamburger, and any spices you would like. We usually use soy sauce and some just salt and pepper seasoning. The pocket is a basic dough that is made. You want to make sure to soak the yeast in hot water before adding to the other dough ingredients. The filling, this will help it rise, as you can see in the picture. The filling is cooked cabbage and hamburger with salt and pepper and sometimes onions. And you want to cook it and mix it together to make it look just like this. Once all of that is cooked, you want to cut the dough into squares and put it in the filling. And you want to roll out the dough first to make it into the squares, so that way it is easy to fold. So for folding, you can add cheese if you want. But for the folding, you want to make sure you fold each individual little piece inside of it like this, so that way it ends up like that third picture, so that way no spills occur. And then our family usually adds cottage cheese for a side dish with it, and it should look like this. Now we like to butter the top of the dough just to make it a little more yummy, but that is a total option. And then it is important to be mindful with our meals. There's history, culture, and traditions that surround each meal. We often take for granted on the daily basis what goes behind each meal. Food is an important part of everyone's life, and I believe we need to slow down and take time to understand our food. So next time you have a meal, have a little food for thought. Thank you.